Well, welcome along to the Timeform Sporting Life Weekend Preview. David Orr, joined by Matt Brocklebank and Kieran Clark to look ahead to the action. Got some Grade 1 action too. Let's go ahead to Ascot for that. The Betfair Ascot Chase and the Timeform ratings are going to appear as if by magic on screen. Kieran, all eyes on Lompresse here. He's out to underline his Gold Cup claims. Timeform ratings, he'll win, but it's not a cakewalk, is it?
Yeah, there's not as much between them as you'd think. There's £8 between them on BHA ratings, but only that £5. Lompresse, probably named after you at the minute, Dave, the busy man in French.
Is that what it means?
Yeah, you seem to be on more podcasts than anyone else.
I was going to say balding gelding then or something, but
being nice for a change. Yeah. But it's needed nothing wrong in his comeback. He was obviously primed for that when he won the Fleur de Lis at Lingfield. He's only been beaten twice over fences. Once when he was over the top at Aintree, then obviously it would have been second to Braemon's game in that King George. Pic D'Orhy, obviously this is his backyard. You think right hand 2.5 mile suits him down to a T. We'll see his Kempton run in a minute. And then you've got Hoyson-Yor stepping back in trip. Real enthusiastic front runner, obviously, who could be an interesting one because he does come good at this time of year.
I've got an alarm bell, Matt, for Lompresse. It's second run back after a long layoff. That first run back after the long layoff was in deep ground at Lingfield. Quite a hard race. He had to get going quite early on him. I'm getting the word bounce.
It's bounce, isn't it?
It's a Baptiste in the room, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I do get that, Dave. He was a bit scratchy early on, wasn't it, at Lingfield? So I would imagine maybe he will sharpen up for that. He's going to have to, I think. One or two potential issues. Drying ground at Ascot. They've not had this rain at all. I know it was Nicky Henderson saying in a blog this week, saying, it's going to be really soft at Ascot. It's already gone good to soft. All the soft in places has disappeared. Drying ground, breezy day. Lompresse's owner said they ideally want soft ground for him. So hopefully he runs anyway. That would be my first stumbling block. But
Timeform official going Lingfield, good to soft.
Yeah, I mean, he handles decent ground. I know they'd be happy enough to look after him on softer ground. I think just he's a real stayer at this sort of trip, isn't he, as well? So it's whether he's got the natural pace for it. He does adjust to his left. He did that in the King George. He's done it as well in a graduation chase as a novice around this course and distance. So that would be a concern for me as well. Yeah, he's the horse to beat, but I think at odds on, I'm happy to give him a swerve. I don't think there's a bet elsewhere. I was looking at a Hoyson-Yor personally as the alternative, the value bet in the race, but again, he's about 5-1. I was thinking maybe the better bet would be to look at him backing for the Ryanair, because if he wins, this would be a hell of a lot shorter for Cheltenham, but I think he's already been nibbled for that anti-post as well. So 10-12-1 for the Ryanair Chase, but 5s is maybe short enough in Ascot's Grade 1 here this weekend.
Let's have a look at the pace map up on screen. It's a small but select field. We've got to say that. And Karen, looking at that, this is an easy one to read in the Betfair Hurdle, where it looked like migrating ducks. 1 and 3 there. Does that mean there's two horses going to want to go forward? Are we looking at least an even pace?
At least, yeah. We're not going to be, we're not going to be talking about a crawl at all. We've got Hoyson-Yor has one way of running. The issue I've had, Matt, with him is he can't jump.
It was a bit better at Cheltenham last time out, and this morning I actually watched his effort in the Gold Cup last year, and he led and jumped well for the vast majority of the way, and then he loses concentration, doesn't he? And we've seen it before from him. As you mentioned, though, he tends to come good in the second half of the season. I'm happy to ignore the lacklustre efforts earlier on this season, as we did previous years. Obviously, as a novice hurdler as well, he came good at Aintree, as a novice chaser. And then last year as well. So I think there's more to come from him. Lucinda Russell's yard hitting a good bit of form as well. So if it's a big F with him, but if he gets into a rhythm, I think he could be a hard one to peg back at Hoyson-Yor.
Yeah, just going back to that.
Bad news for you, Matt. You're going to have to talk about Hoyson-Yor in about 2 minutes for the third time in this preview. Kieran, let's have a look at the videos. We're going to look at Pic D'Orhy in action here at Kempton. He's finishing second to Banbridge. Also, a lot of people think he's a likely winner of the Ryanair at Cheltenham in March.
Yep.
Here he is leading in the pink cap, Pic D'Orhy.
Yeah, this is a real strong piece of form. Probably the strongest Grade 2 you'll definitely see on these shores. And it's quite ironic, really, because Pic D'Orhy is a brilliant jumper. And then when Banbridge hit a few in the straight, and when Pic D'Orhy really needed to jump at the last, he kind of put down on him. But you see here, Banbridge, he comes to take it up, gets in a bit close. Pic D'Orhy leads going to the last, but then you'll see just coming up now, there's a real difference in how these two jump the last. It's a long run to the last.
He was quite scruffy late on last year when he was hammered by Shishkin as well. He can be a little bit ragged. I
just don't think he's horse. He was. I know when Shishkin refused at the start of the season, he probably just had a run round, but he's 9 now, and yes, this is his backyard. You think right-handed, going around here is what he wants, but he was back to his best last time, but I think he's going to have to find some improvement to beat Lompress, and I'm not sure he's going to do that. I think Charlie Deutsch will just sit him behind, track that pace. Like, the bounce factor might be an issue, but I think with Venetia's, it tends not to be. The problem I have is if he has a real hard race here that could be detrimental to his Gold Cup claims.
Little plug for myself there. JJ Slevin winning on Banbridge. You could read my interview with JJ about Fast or Slow and Banbridge on Sporting Life on Saturday. Matt, you mentioned Ahoy Senor about 15 times. We've now got the video of him running the Cotswold Chase right hand side of your screen. And don't worry, well, we can talk through. The tack has already gone wrong at this stage.
I'm getting more and more bullish. I'm going to talk myself into a bet here on this horse because, yeah, you're right. He did go with a bit more enthusiasm this day. And unfortunately, Stephen Mulqueen, who was on this afternoon, it was a stirrup strap that broke, so he did go basically like with one leg from the bottom of the home straight there, bottom of the hill at Cheltenham, and he was unable to really boot him home. And I think this effort wants marking up quite considerably. Personally, whether he'd have been second or third, I'm not totally sure, but I think we can focus more on the earlier stages of the race where he was showing that enthusiasm that he showed when making the run in the Gold Cup. I think, interestingly, you go back to his novice days when it was the Corto Star, and
he went bags of zest, yeah.
Brave man's, yeah, he does go with a fair amount of enthusiasm, and I just wonder if dropping back to 2.5 over this intermediate trip with a proper, just grab the race by the horns and an aggressive ride, where he might get the run of the race out in front, it might just spark him back to life. Now, it's just a question of price, isn't it? Like, at the end of the day, as it always is. And is 5-1 enough of a price to beat Lompresse?
Selection, I think, is Ahoy Senor for Matt.
I
Kieran?
think so, yeah. I think Lompresse will win. I couldn't back him at the price, but I just think he's too classy.
We're heading off to Haydock now for the Virgin Bet Grand National Trial. There's plenty of strands of significant form coming together. Let's talk My Silver Lining with Kieran first. We've got video footage here, Kieran, of him winning at Warwick, the classic chase. Talk us through him. Which one's him and what do you make of the performance?
First of all, Dave, sorry to put you on the spot here, but she's a mare.
Oh, well, there you go. Apologies to connections.
As you'd think with a horse called My Silver Lining, she's the great. And this was a pretty competitive classic chase. You see Gala Dilator comes storming home, but she jumped well, she stays all day. She's still off a mark of 127 down the bottom of the weights, 10 stone 6. She's in a real nice racing weight considering her top weight's got 12 stone. This was a similar trip. She stays all day. I just think this is an even more competitive race than that Warwick race. I think this is one of the best staying chases we've had all season. You've got a Welsh National winner and I Will Do It, a Roland Merrick winner, the Beecher winner, and the Tommy Whittle winner. So that was a seamless link there.
Yeah, well, talking about Tommy Whittle, we're going to watch the finish of that, Matt. It's Famous Bridge in the famous Hemmings colours. At this point, a horse on a steep upward curve even.
Yeah, very true. He is a proper old-fashioned Hemmings type, isn't he? So it came good towards the end of last season with those back-to-back wins at Wetherby. Picked up the baton earlier this year with a couple of wins at Haydock. This was his real sort of crowning moment. Now, he did look beat, didn't he? 2 out. He looked like he was going nowhere, but he's very much a one-paced in the straight at Haydock sort of horse, the kind of horse that you're going to need for this weekend where the ground is currently heavy. Not much more rain forecast, but it'll still be deep. It'll still be taxing and testing, and he's clearly got the right mental fortitude for a race of this nature. He really toughs it out to beat the mare there. Burrows Diamond.
2 furlongs as well.
Even longer trip. Now, obviously, since this day, he's been to Doncaster and it was good ground and he didn't seem to enjoy it at all. Didn't jump very well. He got behind.
Unsettled by that early mistake, wasn't
he? Made a mistake at the third fence. It was decent ground. A very early mistake and he was just looked after and pulled up. So no massive shot to see him bounce back. He's priced accordingly. He's one of the market leaders, and I'm happy to look elsewhere.
It was a lovely
tip time, Kevin. Tip time.
It was a lovely price on Tuesday. I'm going to stick with Famous Bridge. I think he's a progressive young stayer. Quick mention for Snipe, who ran at Wetherby when he was seconds. The rumours were he was going to win on Boxing Day at Market Raisin. He then went to Entry and won there instead. I never backed him. I think a staying trip will suit him, but he's really small, and these are bigger fences. I just worry it might be too much of a test for him, these bigger fences. Yeah, man comes over from Ireland as well. Just worry about going left-handed. So Famous Bridge for me, Dave, around 6-1.
6-1 Famous Bridge, Matt.
Yeah, I think Venetia might win this again. She's won it 3 times in the past, including last year with Quick Wave. Now, there's a horse in here called Shambard with a very, very similar profile. Won in December, then was pulled up in the Welsh National under a penalty. as this horse was, Chambard, and Quick Wave bounced back straight away to win this race under a big weight off a career high mark, and this horse bids to do the same. He's the piece of evidence that really sticks in my mind is when he ground out Beecher Chase victory on near unraceable ground at Haydock. He beat Cocoa Beach, who's come out and won since, all right, over the banks, but Chambard is just made of the right stuff, gets on brilliantly with Lucy Turner, the jockey, who is able to still claim a decent allowance, and I just think he'll carry on galloping when others have had enough. So Chambard is outsider of the field, I think, Dave, 22-1.
There's one of the value bet tips for Saturday. In good form at the minute. What else are you going to put up in the column?
Yeah, I'm going to put up at the 3 o'clock. I'm going to Ascot, Nigel Twiston Davies' horse, right at the bottom of the weights here, called Torn and Frayed. He's able to run off a mark of 132. Now, he was £8 wrong at Cheltenham last time, so I think you can totally strike a line through that. And all 3 runs this season have been at Cheltenham on really bad ground, soft and heavy ground. He just wants better conditions, I think, with the dry and focus that I've mentioned already. Torn and Fred's going to be well suited to this. Only front runner, I think, in the field as well. So, yeah,
do you think he'll be all right going back this way around?
He has a bit of right-handed form in the book over hurdles as well. Yeah. He did run here as a novice chaser when he was a bit inexperienced and was going out a little bit to the left. It can happen at Ascot. I'm hoping Sam Twiston Davies bounces about and gets him going, gets him jumping in a nice rhythm.
And what else are you putting up for Saturday?
I'll put up a couple at Ascot. I think Brave Kingdom will win the Reynoldstown. Really liked what he's done, both starts over fences so far. I know Mr. Linfoot is very keen on him, and I'm agreeing with him for once, which you don't see very often. And I'm stick up Rare Edition there as well. Harry Cobden retains the ride. He won over 2 miles last time, but I think he's really going to improve when he steps up in trip. He flew home at Doncaster 2 starts ago. He won the...
Kempton, wasn't it? He won.
Yeah, he was. He ran in the Supreme last year. He probably finished best of ours and was down the field. But I do think there's another big handicap in him. So Rare Edition, Brave Kingdom, Harry Cobden. Might as well double him. Why not?
I was drinking BMWs with one of Rare Edition's co-owners on Monday night. So there you go.
What did he say, Dave? What did he say?
Not much. He was
Apart
drinking
from I'll have another.
BMWs. Yeah. there wasn't much coherence to be said. Thanks to Matt. Thanks to Kieran. Lovely weekend racing. Plenty to get RT stuck into. And best of luck with your own weekend wagers.